Brian Shaw has released the full lineup at Strongest Man on Earth, which is touted to be the hardest strongman competition of all time. Let's talk about the athletes, what I think could happen, and the events that are trying to kill us. So let's talk about the full lineup for Strongest Man on Earth. We have myself, Lucas Hatton, Trey Mitchell, Austin Andrade, Tom Stoltman, Maxime Boudreau, and Josh Spurgeon. Those were already confirmed about a month back. The new invites: current World Strongest Man Ray O'Neill, Evan Singleton, Bobby Thompson, Wes Terwinski, Tom Evans, Andre Foytu, Eddie Williams, Shane Flowers, and Bryce Johnson, with Tristan Hoth as the new alternate. Those are the 16 guys who will be victimized by Brian Shaw in the insane set of events, which we're going to talk about in a sec. But there's some pretty big names missing from this list. Let's talk about the qualifying system and those athletes. So the biggest name left off that list is Paddy Haynes, who had an incredible showing at World's Strongest Man. Now, Paddy would admit himself, Strongest Man on Earth would be an uphill battle for him because his pure static strength just isn't where it could be and isn't up at the top in the world. So the hard part is Brian's trying to create this show where you truly find out the strongest man on the planet, and he wants to invite the people who contest to be the strongest man on the planet. On the surface, eye test and his absolute numbers, Paddy is not one of those guys. But on his competition results, Paddy is one of those guys. So you think, do we want to do this off competition results, or do we want to do this off of their actual numbers that they would be capable of? And Brian's obviously going off of what are they capable of. And I think that's okay, because he also has the qualifying system. If Paddy podiumed at one of the major shows, he would be in the Strongest Man on Earth. So it's definitely a controversial one. But it's controversial in the way that if you can't see why he's not invited, I don't understand your rationale. Whoa. All right, next person that I think is probably left off this list is Luke Stoltman. He's been in the World's Strongest Man finals many times. He doesn't get by on athleticism. He does have very high base strength numbers. So that was really surprising to me that, say, guys like Wes Terwinski and Bryce Johnson got invited over Luke Stoltman, because I think he could do big log press. I think his chest press would be really good. Part of this might have been his historical results at Strongest Man on Earth or Shaw Classic. But regardless, if you're talking 16 most physically capable strength athletes in the world, I think Luke Stoltman is in that. So I would have probably invited Luke as well. And now someone who was invited, who is a notable name, but declined their invite, is Hafthor Bjornsson. I don't know exactly why, but I had an inkling that he wasn't going to be there. It could be because of the chest press and the pec tear. It could be because he's prepping for a big deadlift right now. I'm not sure, but Thor out of the show is definitely one that I'm disappointed about, because I love to go head to head with Thor, especially in a contest like that where he has so many huge strengths, but he won't be there. The one good note is I didn't know if Tom Stoltman was going to be there, but Tom is confirmed. So Tom will be there. And between myself, Tom, Lucas, Trey, Austin Andrade, Evan Singleton, a number of other guys, it's going to be a really exciting show with some massive numbers. If you don't already have your tickets, if you're not already going, go ahead, check out the link down in the description. It would be awesome to see as many of you there as possible. It is, to me, prestige-wise, the highest in strongman right now. I think you earn the most street cred in strongman if you win Strongest Man on Earth. So that is the athlete list for strongest man on earth. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. First, do you think Paddy should have been invited? Personally, I think yes, but I totally understand why he wasn't. Two, do you think Thor not being there is a big knock to the show? Or do you think with the chest press and max log, he wouldn't have been in contention to it anyway? Is there someone I'm leaving off the list? Go ahead, drop that in the comments below, and let's talk about the events. All right, this will be 175, which should actually be properly hard. 175 for 4 is 193 if we're going off of math. But I find in larger, like 2-part movements, it always is undershooting. So I think rep 4 here would be more similar to maybe a 205-ish log. But we'll see. The next log I'm training for is Royal Albert Hall log ladder, 120 to 180. So I can do 175 for 4. That is very good prognosis that I'll absolutely blitz that one. So if we think max log at strongest man on earth, to me, there are probably 5 people who'll be right up there. Myself, Lucas Hatton, Trey Mitchell, Tom Stoltman, Austin Andrade. And I think 4 or 5 of us will hit 210. I think 2 will hit 220. Probably Lucas Hatton, Trey Mitchell. I think I'm probably at an outside chance at 220, but it's event 1 of 8 heavy events. If I hit the 210, that gets me top 3, top 4. That's probably more than enough for me. You guys know how important deadlift world record is. And I have to stay in one piece after strongest man on earth to be able to prep for that. So I think that's probably how the log press shakes out. Perfect. On rep 1, I hit my head on the platform, cleaning it. I think that throws me a little bit, but that's quite good. I probably had 1 more in there. Leg power's coming back, pressing strength, like locking out a little bit down, but exactly what I would expect post-Worlds. Regardless, that for 4 is in a phenomenal place. Very, very happy. We're gonna kick on some heavy, no tacky stones. Next up, I'm gonna train stones. Shaw Classic Strongest Man on Earth. It's essentially a max stone, but you've got 4 stones lined up in increasing weight. Starting at, I believe, 200, going all the way up to 270, I believe. And last year, 250 for 2, 1, and there were so many zeros. I think this year you're gonna see much better performances. Guys being a little bit more reasonable, starting a little bit lower, and then getting their points after. I think half of the field zeroed last year. On this event, we're looking at Tom, Trey, myself, probably Austin Andrade as the big stone loaders. And I don't know if anyone's gonna bother attacking the 600-pound stone like Tom did last year. It just feels like too much of a risk. That being said, if there's a lot of good performances, you start getting pushed to do things you might not be comfortable to do. So it's outside chance that I have to go attempt that. But I think my reasonable goal is hit 250 for 2 or 3 reps. Again, that's probably gonna be top 2 if I do it efficiently, top 3 if I'm a bit slow, and that is totally fine. Good result, on to the next. Today we're doing 160, no tacky, working a lot on the squeeze, working a lot on extension. So I'm gonna go up to this platform, hopefully work my way up to the tallest guy after that. But max stone strength, max squeeze strength, gonna be very important to get away with big points in that event. But 3x3, if I can go low platform, high platform, low platform, that's a perfect day. But we'll see, because I'm already kind of wet. All right. Wet, 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 wet. Oh, close. That's good for how slippery I am right now. The hard thing is the gym is so hot and humid as well, as you can tell. It's 25 degrees in Canada, and for us, that is absolute desert territory. Oh, don't know how I did that. I have no idea how I did that. One more, come on. No, wet, just wet. Unfortunate. I'm gonna have to come back and do stones a different day. So we've talked max log, we've talked essentially max stone. Let's talk about the other events that Brian's literally trying to kill us with. We've got the standing chest press, which we saw back in 2023. The first time it was called the strongest man on earth. That is back. I know Lucas Hatton is really strong bench presser. He told me 550 was his last kind of like max. That's where I am as well. I think lots of guys who have done this before will benefit from experience, but going to be really important. And between that and max log, tricep strength is going to earn you a good number of points in this show. Other guys on standing chest press that could be really good. Traded well on this. I see Austin Andrade as a guy who could be a huge bench presser. Evan Singleton's a pretty good bench presser, although underperformed last time on the standing chest press. So it will be interesting to see who comes out on top there. Then we have side handle deadlift or trap bar deadlift. This is essentially going to be a squat of sorts. And I think winning number is going to be around 1,150, 1,200 pounds here. It's going to be big. And you think of good squatters for me, not good deadlifters. So Lucas Hatton, Austin Andrade, and myself probably looking towards the top of that list. We then have frame carry into seated arm over arm. We've seen this before a few times at Strongest Man on Earth. The arm over arm is back to the tower arm over arm. Very, very heavy. Last time we did this, I came second to Max Boudreau. So hopefully another good, strong result here. Other guys who are great at arm over arm, of course, Tom Stoltman, top of that list. Rain O'Neill, this could be a phenomenal event. In fact, should be a phenomenal event for Rain O'Neill. He did incredible at this event in the World's Strongest Man finals. So it will be fun to see him go on a similar event, but heavy at the Shaw Classic. Then we have Super Yoke. We don't know weight here, but it's rumored to be somewhere up to 1,500 pounds. I know I asked for the belt out, and I'm getting what I asked for, but I don't know. Now that it's here, I'm a bit apprehensive. We're going to go do Yoke in a second, starting relatively light at 400 kilos today. But this is going to be my first test really heavy on the Yoke. The best I've ever done, 615 kilos for 10 meters unbroken. I did that about 3 years ago, before I turned pro in strongman. And I think this is going to be the show of me versus Lucas Hatton. And this will be really, really fun to go head to head. Then we have the max weight keg toss. And Wes Dewinski, great thrower. Tom Stoltman, great thrower. I'm a competent thrower. It's going to be interesting, though, because we haven't done max weight ever in my career. They did this at the Arnold the year before I came in. But who can throw weight the highest is not necessarily who can throw weight the heaviest. So it will be interesting to see who comes out on top there. And lastly is an event that's changed. It was tire flip into power stairs. Now it's something else into power stairs. But regardless, I think this is probably where Lucas Hatton loses a handful of points on the power stairs. He did a power stair run that got him onto the podium last time, but it was only good for 6th or 7th. So he'll lose a handful of points there. And I think that could be where Lucas doesn't have a chance to win Strongest Man on Earth or makes it much more difficult for himself. Between the power stairs, the heavy throw, the arm over arm, there's going to be a few uphill battles for him. And I bring him up a lot because he is one of the strongest humans to walk the earth. And I think the top 6 are pretty difficult to call between myself, Tom, Evan, Trey, Lucas Hatton, and Austin Andrade. Will be interesting to see who comes out on top from all that. But let's get on to some yoke, and I'll give my predictions afterwards. Oh. That's probably good. All right, work up to 400 kilos today. I'm gonna check how far, but probably shorter runs, getting ready for the heavy event at Strongest Man on Earth. 24, 60, 80, 160. This is about 260. I'm wearing lifters because I forgot my cross trainers in the car. And honestly, I think people are a bit particular. Like, yes, in a competition, I will be wearing cross trainers. My CXT2s, I love them. They're incredibly useful. But if you have to do one session in a 1/2 inch elevated heel, it's going to change absolutely nothing about your life. Right, you'll notice if I'm prepping for a heavy yoke, I'm not thinking about speed near as much. So all of these will be slower and more deliberate by design, because you have to prepare yourself not to like pick and run. It's like pick and steady steps. Build a little bit of speed, but just focus on being really balanced with it. So that's the training objective. Even if it's the same weight, same programming, same everything, you have to approach things slightly differently if you want to get the most from your training. Not too bad. It's funny, I actually am probably more comfortable going fast just because I always have. So having to like slow down makes it feel so much heavier. Almost like a tempo deadlift. Now, I wouldn't recommend tempo deadlifting to train for a max deadlift, but in this circumstance, a little bit different because it's going to feel heavy and hard. Easy work. I find it hard to actually intentionally not speed up. But that's my first yoke session in a very long time. And that is that. Let's talk predictions for Strongest Man on Earth. I'm gonna give my podium top of head, top of mind. First place, I think I will retain the title. Second place, I'm going with Trey Mitchell. Third place, I'm going with Tom Stolman. But it's gonna be a battle. I could see Evan Singleton, I could see Austin Andrade, I can see Lucas Hatton, all sneaking into any of those spots. So, going to be exciting. Thank you guys very much for watching. Wish me luck in the show down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until tomorrow, lift heavy and be kind.